Hey guys, it's Kelly. Mari and I are back today with another Scrap the Challenge layout. And this week we are continuing to use our stash kit. And the challenge this week is to use our tools and to scrapbook about ourselves. So this photo is one of me from I think last year, and I decided to use that and to make a layout about how I choose to be happy. And when I was looking through the papers in the stash kit and I pulled out this pink paisley floral, I decided that that was definitely a paper that I needed to use. Florals are some of my favorite, and although this floral is a little bit different than ones that I would normally use, I love the colors and I love the vintage look to the floral. It just reminded me of grandmothers, and you know, grandmothers are just so sweet, and it just you know, there's certain papers that like tug at my heartstrings for the nostalgia effects, and this one definitely did. So I decided to use that, and I also pulled out the text paper, and I think this paper has some birthday sentiments as well, but it had a bunch of happy phrases as well. And I just decided to make sure that you could just see the text and you couldn't read it all. And I liked the way that that came out. That's why you saw me being so, you know, picky about where the words were ending. So I was just, you know, looking through and trying to figure out what I wanted to do with this paper. You see that I will like cut off part of it with my hand like I'm doing there. I'm trying to figure out if I want to cut it or if I want to fussy cut the flower. Where will, you know, that end up being? And so I haven't figured it out, so I decided to start working on one of the embellishments that I was thinking I was going to use. I don't use the tag at all. But what I did is I went ahead and I took one of the papers that went with this floral and I cut out from my dies a tag. Now I don't have a ton of dies, so you know, for me to use them is great, even though I don't feel like I am wasting them with what I have in my stash. So this is going to be another mixed media, not fail. It just didn't go with what I ended up wanting. I'm going to keep this background and I will try to get it used in a layout fairly soon so that I can just show someone how, you know, sometimes you just save backgrounds if it doesn't turn out exactly how you wanted it. So I took some acrylic paint and just kind of messy brushed it across, and then I felt like it was a little bit too clean looking, although it wasn't really clean looking. I wanted the color to be a little bit more distressed, which is why I added the white onto it. And then I'm just taking one of these stencils and putting in a little bit of modeling paste, and I really like the way that it comes out. It's just that I couldn't really get it to work with the layout, and it just, you know, the more I looked at it, the more it didn't work. And I will end up, you know, letting it dry, and then I just kind of put it aside. I have a couple of backgrounds that I've done this to, and I have used a couple. So for me, I don't mind if I make a background, you know, like this, and it just doesn't quite work. So I'm just cleaning up the stencil. I'm sorry about that. I should have edited that part out. And this is where, you know, I look and I'm like, well, let me cut out the flowers and let me see if I like it with the background better. And these flowers were relatively easy to fussy cut. I know that some people are quite intimidated with fussy cutting, and I've just found that if you keep your cutting hand straight and you use your non-cutting hand to move the paper, and you know, not cut really fast, but just with at least a little bit of speed to it, that it turns out so much better. So that is all that I'm doing now, is just fussy cutting a few of the flowers, and my thought is that it'll help overlap some of the paint excuse me, and the layout, and it'll just kind of bring the whole thing together. And what I felt like it did was there was too much white, I think, in the border, and I didn't really want to go ahead and pull the paint back out again, because then the paint would be getting back on the modeling paste, and it wasn't the direction that I really wanted to go with this layout. So what I ended up doing was going back through the kit, and I didn't really find anything that I thought would work. And I did not want to put it on white cardstock. I just felt like that would be way too harsh. And I didn't want to put it on craft cardstock, because then I felt like the flowers would be washed out, and that was not a look that I was going for. So what I end up doing is I end up going through my Maggie Holmes paper, which I still have quite a bit of, and I found a wood grain that worked beautifully. So in just a second, you'll see that I go ahead and I pull the wood grain out. At this point, I know pretty much that this isn't going to work, but I'm just trying to make sure that with the extra die cuts and things that I'm pulling out to try to work on this page, you know, I wanted to make sure without a doubt that it wouldn't work. So when I pulled out this pink wood grain, my first thought was it was going to be too much. And then when I put the florals on it, I just was like, this is it. This is it. You know, this one you can hear the angels singing, ha ha, you know, yay. This is exactly what I wanted. So at this point, the layout really did come together pretty quickly. So as far as the tools were concerned with this, I had in my stash a Heidi Swap die cut board that said happy. So I went ahead and die cut that in gold glitter, because I thought that would be perfect for my title, especially since I had already determined that I wanted to make the layout about that. And I pulled this girl off of the chipboard. When I first got that chipboard, I thought, I am never going to use this girl. She's cute, but what on earth am I going to be doing with it? And I just felt like it fit this page, even though I'm not wearing glasses and I don't have pretty brown hair, you know, that I could put up in a bun. So I was just happy to be able to use that on this page. The other die cut piece, I just placed that kind of pink coral sheet that scalloped edges. I used a Dear Lizzie die cut, and this is that might be her very first set of dies that came out, and it just had a frame with a scallop border. So I went ahead and I cut that out. And then the final thing that I do with my tools is I will use a heart punch that I have and punch some of the gold glitter paper to make a little heart. So I did not use a whole bunch of tools, but I was happy in the fact that I used 2 of my dies and a punch. So for me, that's great. So I pulled out these Dear Lizzie stickers, and what I'm trying to do is just finish the title. I used one of the Project Life cards, and I just wanted the phrase to go right into the title so that it just made sense. And I'm looking at the white, and I just feel like they're too white, but I'm going to sit on it for a while. When I'm not liking something, I'm going to, you know, keep working around the page while I think about it and figure it out. And I felt like that at this point, the letters weren't awful. So if I didn't come up with anything else, that I would just leave them. But, you know, I had in my mind that I really wanted to switch them, because it just didn't, I felt like they got lost on the page. They didn't take up enough visual room. And, you know, for my title, I wanted it to have some weight. So I'm going to go ahead and start sticking things down, just because I like the way that everything else has come out. And I'm just taking some of my quick dry adhesive in my fine line bottle and just getting it into those places that I didn't quite have enough. And I have no idea where that doily came from. I did die cut that doily in hopes that I would be able to use it on the tag, but it just didn't work. And I will tell you that I used the Hazel and Ruby tissue paper to die cut that doily, and that worked beautifully. I have a few other doily dies, just not very large, and I didn't love the way that it cut out of paper because it just didn't have the doily effect. For me, the doilies, one part that I really like about it is how tissue thin they are, and it just adds that another little layer and a little bit of delicateness to the page, and the cardstock just didn't bring that to it. So when I did cut it out of the tissue, I was thrilled with the results. So now I'm hoping that I will use the few doily dies that I have a little bit more often. So when I was going through the stickers that I had pulled in the kit as well, I flipped them over and saw these black with gold, and I thought that that might be a better choice. And I do end up using these, and I like the way that it looks much better. It pulls the dark from the die cut or the chipboard piece of the girl, and to me it just kind of balances out just a little bit more. And while I will say that I don't think the title is perfect, it is good enough for me. And sometimes, those things won't be 100% perfect, but why keep fussing and messing with something when you can get something to work? So at this point, I'm getting close to being done. I'm just going to add some of the little bits and pieces to finish off some of these clusters. And I just was pointing to something on that left-hand side that I wanted to balance off that journaling card as well. And on that right-hand side, I took the sticker tag, and I just layered a gold heart on top of it, and then I found a word sticker as well that went with the theme of my layout. And I'm going to staple that on, and I just like the effects that it gives to the tag. I like when you have different layers on top, and the little staple adds a little bit of whimsy to it as well. So this was a Project Life card that I had also pulled in the kit, and I am going to fussy cut that gold label and then use that underneath. And I am going to stamp with my Maggie Holmes stamp, I think. It's something, another phrase about happiness, and I'm going to also stamp the date down there as well. So my journaling for this is just how I choose to be happy, and that how I have always been a glass half full person. And I just want my kids to know that sometimes things aren't always happy and things aren't always great, but for me, I have to believe that things are going to work out in the end, and they do. And that's partly from my faith, and just because I am a happier person when I think those good thoughts. And it's so easy to allow negative thoughts and, negative feelings is just to let you, to me, when I have those thoughts and when I have those feelings, it is just overwhelming and almost oppressing. And I feel like I have the weight of the world on my shoulders. So I have learned over time that I just cannot let those thoughts and feelings even get that far, because when I choose to be happy, the whole house is much happier, and it's just a better feeling. So that has kind of been something that I just, I've noticed, and I want my kids to know as well. So that's pretty much it for me today. Please be sure and check out Mari's layout. I have seen a sneak peek, and it is absolutely beautiful as usual. And she really does a great job with using all of her tools. So I'm going to have the link to Mari's channel below, and I do have some close-ups at the end. And be sure to look at the close-ups with the gold Heidi Shine. It turned out amazing on this page. I love it anyway, but on this page I was thrilled with how pretty it turned out. So that's it. Thanks so much for joining me, and I hope you guys have a great weekend. I'll see you next time. Bye.